Hello friends, thank you for returning to my channel for one more weekly reflection. So today's readings comes from the Gospel of Mark chapter 6. It's a story of when Jesus had been teaching and working with lots of folks and with the disciples, and he was concerned for the disciples' well-being. So he says to them, and this is chapter 6, verse 31. Come away to a deserted place by yourselves and rest a while. We've gone through a pandemic here, and we're sort of clearing up and moving on to being able to be with folks and get back to our lives the way perhaps they were. Certainly different than what it has been over the last year or so. And to a certain degree, these pandemic times when we've had to isolate ourselves to such a degree, we have been in a deserted place by ourselves. And when we come back and we're busy and interacting with everyone else, we may feel a sense of disconnection, or we may not feel in sync with our lives because everything has changed. And so I want to offer that phrase, that verse that Jesus said, when you get overwhelmed by the people and the connections and the busyness, to take time to come away to a deserted place, to be by yourself, to rest. And now, the rest we're seeking is resting in the arms of God, resting in the heart and love of God. Because, in fact, it's not just going to have a nice nap in the afternoon, although sometimes that's a good thing to do, but it's more about resting your spirit, right? Taking time in a quiet place to rest your spirit. The disciples had to learn this lesson a number of times, and in fact, there's multiple times in the gospel story where Jesus does this, takes the people away, the disciples away, to teach them separately or just a time to rest. There's times when he does it himself, where they're off searching for him because he's taken off early in the morning for a time of prayer. Come away to a deserted place by yourself and rest. There are so many things happening in our lives that can be overwhelming. The busyness of life, work, children, grandchildren, all the household stuffs you have to do, trying to get away to see people, feeling a need that you need to, feeling a responsibility to get things and see people and call people, and so on and so on and so on. Health stuff, doctor's appointments, right? Medical appointments of various sorts. Life just gets full of things. Chasing around after the kids, getting them to their grandparents, getting them to daycare, getting them to programming. It just, your life can be filled up. During the pandemic, some of that has stopped. And of course, we got to a way where we figured out how to do these things differently. But still, we had a time of pause. Not to say it wasn't rest. We all know it wasn't rest, but it was a time of pause. So as you move back into your busy lives, as you move back into thinking what are you going to take on and what aren't you, think about taking a time of rest. It is, after all, summer, and summer is just that, finding a away place, if not deserted, away from your busyness, so that you can be by yourself or be by those who are just most important to you, whom you need to be with, and rest. Summer, that's what summer is about, right? A shift from the busyness of the year to the summertime, and then back into the busyness of the year again. Because we all know September will be busy. Rest. Take a summer rest, a summer break. Now this might be as simple as sitting in a chair on your balcony or in your backyard, as simple as going down to the river and watching the river flow by, as simple as going to the park and sitting with a chair or on a bench and just watching the world drift by. Something you have to do for the sake of your soul is that disconnection. That's the type of rest we're talking about. And until we have that complete disconnection and the letting go, we have put up walls and barriers between ourselves and the divine presence of God. So if we release that, just disconnect from everything. Disconnect from your worries for your health. Disconnect from your worries for the kids. Disconnect from worries from your job or your finances or anything. And just be in a restful place, heart and soul and mind. And it's in that place, in that state of mind, that you can know God. And so I would suggest even one step further, you ask for that. You ask for help from the living God to release those things, the distractions, so that you can connect. And for the presence of the living God to come upon you, to touch you in some way. Dear friends, may you find that place and state of rest in moments in your life, so that you can be healed, whole, your true self, and completely. May you know the blessing of God, the presence of God, and the wisdom of Christ, and the guidance of the Spirit in all you do and say, and all your moments. Amen.